Do you ever catch yourself staring at your child, glued to their tablet, and wonder, am I failing at this? Maybe you tried setting screen time limits, but the tantrums and arguments left you feeling exhausted. Or maybe you're torn between wanting them to stay connected with technology and worrying that it's rewiring their little brains. You're not alone. I've talked to so many parents, busy, loving, hardworking moms and dads, who whisper the same fear. What if I'm raising my kid in a world I don't fully understand? We didn't grow up like this. When we were kids, if we wanted to hang out with a friend, we called their house phone and hoped their dad didn't answer. We didn't have instant notifications or a world of videos one tap away. And now here we are, raising a generation where their entire childhood is intertwined with screens. The truth is, raising kids in the digital age feels like walking a tightrope. On one side, we know devices are part of the modern world. They help kids learn, stay connected, and even unwind. On the other side, we've read all the studies about screen addiction, anxiety, and kids struggling to focus or sleep. So how do we help them grow up healthy and balanced without turning ourselves into the bad cop who's always yelling, "Turn that thing off"? How do we set boundaries that actually stick and protect our relationship with them in the process? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I promise, this isn't about shaming you for letting your child use an iPad while you finished work emails. This is about simple, doable changes that help your child develop a healthy relationship with technology and bring more peace back into your home. I want to start with something most parents don't realize. Imagine this. You're in the kitchen, cooking dinner, and your 8-year-old is sitting at the table, playing Roblox on your phone. You know they've been at it for a while, so you call out, "Okay, that's enough. Time to hand it over." What happens next? Cue the meltdown, the whining, maybe even tears. Here's the thing. That reaction isn't just them being dramatic. It's their brain processing a sudden loss of stimulation. When kids are deep in a game or video, their brains are flooded with dopamine, that feel-good chemical. Pulling them away abruptly is like snatching candy from someone mid-bite. That's why the first rule I want to share is this: create transitions, not power struggles. Instead of yanking the device away, give them a heads up. "Hey buddy, you've got 10 minutes left. After that, we're putting the tablet down and playing outside." Then check in at the 5-minute mark. For younger kids, use visual timers or even fun countdown songs. I know, it sounds so simple it couldn't possibly work. But try it. You'll be amazed how much smoother the handoff becomes when their brain has time to adjust. The second thing is something I wish I'd learned earlier as a parent. Model the balance you want to see. This one stings a little, doesn't it? Because here's the hard truth. Our kids notice when we say, "No screens at dinner," but then sneak a glance at our own phones under the table. They see us scrolling before bed or answering one more email while they're trying to tell us about their day. And I get it. We're juggling careers, finances, relationships, a million things at once. But kids don't always hear what we say. They absorb what we do. So instead of demanding they put the tablet down and go play, why not invite them into an unplugged moment with you? Let's take the dog for a walk. Want to bake cookies together? How about we draw while dinner cooks? These small moments send a powerful message. Screens are a tool, not the center of our lives. I remember one Saturday morning, I woke up and instinctively reached for my phone, but my daughter was curled up beside me, watching. That tiny pause, her wide eyes on me, was enough to make me set the phone down. Instead, we stayed in bed and made up silly stories for 20 minutes. She still brings up that morning. When we show our kids what balance looks like, they're far more likely to follow. And here's the third rule, one that might surprise you. Don't demonize technology. Teach them to use it well. It's easy to make screens the enemy. But let's be honest, banning them completely isn't realistic. Technology isn't going anywhere. What we can do is help kids build the skills to navigate it wisely. Instead of saying, "You're wasting time on YouTube," try asking, "What are you watching? Can you show me?" Watch a few videos together. Talk about what's funny, what's silly, and even what's questionable. This opens the door for conversations about critical thinking, empathy, and safety. Conversations that are way more powerful than lectures. When my son was 10, he started playing an online game where other kids could chat. At first, I panicked. What if strangers talk to him? What if he says something he shouldn't? But instead of banning it, I sat beside him and we played together. I showed him how to spot red flags, how to mute or block players, and how to come to me if anything felt weird. Now, even at 13, he still checks in with me about things he sees online. You see, the goal isn't to protect them from every little thing, it's to give them the tools to protect themselves. And that's where I want to pause for a moment, because as a parent, this can feel like so much pressure. But I want you to hear this. You're doing better than you think. You care enough to wonder, to learn, to try. That already makes you the kind of parent your child needs. You know, as parents, we often carry this invisible weight, the feeling that every decision we make now could shape our child's entire future. And when it comes to technology, that pressure can feel even heavier. But here's the thing I keep reminding myself. We don't have to get this perfect. We just have to stay present, stay curious, and be willing to grow alongside our kids. Now let's talk about something that can make or break how your family handles screen time: consistency. Think about it. One week, you're strict about no devices at the dinner table. The next week, you're so tired from work that you hand them your phone just to get 5 minutes of peace. Or you set a no screens before school rule, but then cave when they beg for one last cartoon. Sound familiar? Don't worry. We've all been there. But kids thrive on structure. They feel safer and calmer when they know what to expect. So the fourth rule is this: create a family tech routine and stick to it. It doesn't have to be complicated or rigid. In fact, the simpler it is, the more likely you'll all follow through. For example, you might decide, no screens during meals, 1 hour of video games on weekends, all devices charged overnight in the kitchen, not bedrooms. You can even make it a family conversation. Sit down with your kids and ask, what feels fair? What helps us all enjoy screens without going overboard? When children help shape the rules, they're more likely to respect them. In our house, we call this the tech agreement. And yes, there are still days when my son groans about it, but over time, he's come to accept that this is just how our family does things, like brushing teeth or buckling seatbelts. Of course, consistency isn't always easy. There will be slip-ups. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And that brings me to something even deeper. As much as we talk about limiting screen time, we don't always ask why our kids are drawn to it so much in the first place. Have you noticed that kids tend to reach for devices when they're bored, stressed, or lonely? For some, screens become a kind of escape, a way to fill gaps they can't quite name. That's why Rule 5 is so important. Fill their world with yes before you take away the no. Instead of focusing only on what they can't do, no more YouTube, no more Minecraft. Ask yourself, what can we offer in its place? I remember one rainy weekend when my daughter was practically glued to her tablet. Every time I tried to take it away, we ended up in tears. Finally, I asked her, if you weren't on your iPad right now, what would you want to do? She thought for a second and said, I wish we could build a fort. So we did. We pulled out blankets, chairs, and fairy lights. That silly little fort kept her busy for hours. And you know what? She didn't even ask for the tablet the rest of the day. Now, I'm not saying we can keep our kids entertained 24/7. We're not cruise directors, but small things like puzzles, board games, baking together, or even just a walk outside can remind them there's a whole world beyond the screen. Sometimes what they really want isn't the game or video, it's connection. And isn't that true for us too? Think about those nights when you're scrolling through Instagram or watching yet another episode of a show you're not even into. What are you really craving? Maybe it's rest, maybe it's distraction from stress, or maybe it's a sense of being seen and understood. Our kids are no different. So before you rush to take the tablet away, pause and ask, what is my child needing right now? And how can I meet that need in a way that strengthens our bond? It's not always easy. Some days, you won't have the energy to build a fort or bake cookies. That's okay too. Give yourself grace, because here's a secret most parenting books don't tell you. You don't have to fill every moment with activities or lessons. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply be there. Sitting on the couch, sharing space, being available. That quiet presence is more nourishing to your child than any app could ever be. And here's something else to hold on to. Your relationship with your child matters far more than any rule about screens ever will. If you get nothing else from this conversation, get this. Screens come and go, but the connection you're building with your child, the trust, the laughter, the sense that they can come to you with anything, that's what lasts. I've spoken to teens who said the most powerful moments with their parents weren't when they got a new phone or tablet. It was when their mom sat with them and listened without judgment, or when their dad joined them in a video game, even if he had no idea what he was doing. That's what sticks. And I think we need to pause there, because it's a lot to take in, isn't it? You're not just managing devices, you're shaping a culture in your family. One where screens don't dominate, but also don't divide you. One where your child learns how to live with technology instead of being consumed by it. You're doing sacred work here. And it's okay if it feels messy sometimes. You know, sometimes when I talk with other parents about screens and kids, they get this faraway look in their eyes, like they're carrying a secret fear they're too ashamed to say out loud. And if we're being honest, haven't we all thought it at some point? What if I've already messed this up? What if it's too late to change things now? Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me years ago. It's not too late, not even close. Parenting isn't about doing it perfectly from day one. It's about showing up again and again, even when you're tired, even when you've slipped up, and saying, let's try this a little differently today. Because every small shift you make creates ripples in your child's life. And that leads me to the sixth and final rule. Focus on connection over control. It's tempting to think that if we just find the right app blocker, the perfect parental controls, or the strictest schedule, everything will fall into place. But here's the truth. Rules without relationship rarely stick. If our kids feel like technology is a battlefield where they're constantly fighting us, they'll either push back harder or they'll learn to hide. But we prioritize connection, something beautiful happens. The battles soften. The trust grows, and suddenly our kids aren't just following rules because they have to. They're making better choices because they want to. I remember a mom telling me about her teenage son who'd been sneaking his phone into bed at night. She tried everything, taking the phone away, locking it in a drawer, even shutting off the Wi-Fi. But it only made him angrier and sneakier. Finally, one night she sat down on his bed and said, "I'm not here to yell or punish. I just want to understand. What's keeping you on your phone so late?" At first, he brushed her off, but slowly he opened up. He was feeling left out of his friend group and scrolling through social media to feel connected. That one conversation changed everything. Instead of fighting over the phone, they started talking about loneliness, friendships, and healthier ways to cope. That's the power of connection. So how do we build it? We start by being curious instead of critical. The next time your child is on a device, resist the urge to snap, "You're always on that thing." Instead, sit down beside them. Ask, "What are you playing? Can you teach me how it works?" Watch their face light up as they explain their favorite game or show. We also build connection by carving out moments without screens, not as punishment, but as a gift. Dinner conversations, family walks, bedtime stories, even for older kids. These small rituals create a safe space where your child knows, you're here for me, not to control me, but to know me. And isn't that what we all wanted when we were growing up? Someone who saw past our mistakes and moods and loved us anyway? I know it's not easy, especially when you're stretched thin by work, bills, relationships, and all the invisible labor of adulthood. But here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to be a perfect parent. You just have to be a present one. Because long after your child has outgrown their favorite app or device, they'll remember how it felt to be with you. They'll remember the night you put your phone down to listen. They'll remember the fort you built in the living room. They'll remember that even when you made mistakes, you came back and tried again. That's what shapes them. That's what lasts. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, take a deep breath with me. In, out. You're doing so much better than you give yourself credit for. Every time you pause before reacting. Every time you choose to connect instead of control. Every time you invite your child into a healthier rhythm with technology, you're planting seeds. And those seeds will grow. So here's my challenge for you. Tonight, pick one small thing to try. Maybe it's setting a family no screens at dinner rule. Maybe it's putting your own phone away for an hour and seeing what your child wants to do. Or maybe it's just sitting beside them while they play a game and asking, "Can I join?" Start there. One step, one moment, one connection, and trust that it's enough. Because at the end of the day, your child doesn't need a perfect parent who has all the answers about technology. They need you. Your love, your presence, your willingness to grow and learn right alongside them. So take heart. You've got this, and your family is worth every effort. If this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's one thing you've struggled with around screens in your home? Or one idea you're excited to try? And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're building a little corner of the internet here for parents who are doing their best, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Remember, your story isn't stuck. You're just getting started.